Howdy there. I have $1,000,000 question. Maybe you don't have the $1,000,000 answer. It's okay if you don't. It's questions I've been really thinking about. You know, conservatives, and you can't spell conservatives without the word con in the beginning. They've been hyper-focused in states that they control. You know, where they control the state house and the state senate and the governorship. They've been hyper-focused on censorship. Now, I know a lot of these same Republicans will say they're against censorship online. But they really, really are in favor of censorship when it comes to the public schools. They claim the critical race theory, which is not being taught in schools. It's being taught in schools. And well, just about everything now constitutes critical race theory. I'm a critical race theorist because I bring up the bullshit that happens in this country. And if you speak about anything that they do, and you know who I'm talking about, the date, then you're a critical race theorist and a racist. You're more racist than the individuals who are committing, well, the savagery. They did this to Martin Luther King Jr. too. They did it to Fred Hampton. They did it to Rosa Parks. They did it to Harriet Tubman. Anybody who called this nation on what they were doing, they labeled a communist, a radical, a socialist, a Marxist. So it's no surprise that the author of 1619, Nicole Hannah Jones, has been labeled all of these things as well. Because like I said, anybody that tells the truth about the experience, well, is a threat, is a bad person, is evil. They want to continue to lie to you. But there's another issue that doesn't get talked about, and it's worth pondering as well. You see, conservatives are banning critical race theory in school because they claim that it's discomforting the children to learn about the atrocities that their parents committed towards other human beings in this country. And while that might sound kind of reasonable, there's another question that doesn't ever get asked, that doesn't ever get spoken about in this land. Would critical race theory even be a thing, a topic of discussion, if white America, specifically the land-owning Anglo-Saxon Americans who committed slavery and reaped the benefits of slavery, if they had paid reparations, would you even be talking about critical race theory? Now, I had to do some deep thinking about this. Well, not really. Generally speaking, people don't generally bring up bad things if the individuals in question have made the situation fair, whole, so to speak. The individuals who are criticizing critical race theory, the theory that there's systemic racism woven into the system of America, which is factually correct. I mean, it's clearly obvious at this point that the individuals who have been running this country are totally racist. I mean, please, do you want us to think that you're good people? No, you're not. And you know you're not. Anyway, so the theory is true. But the individual question that I had was, would the theory even be well presented to the American citizenry if the individuals in question had done reparations? And the answer is certainly it would not happen. You cannot, in good faith, say that people would be bringing up the horrors of what happened if they had been compensated. And some people are like, well, it happened a long time ago. A lot of things happened a long time ago. Universities were built a long time ago that to this day individuals still attend. Governments were established a long time ago that to this day people still serve in. So I don't really understand that whole notion of, well, because it happened a long time ago, it's not effective or plausible for it to still be of issue. Really? Well, please do explain how in a country that's supposed to be, well, free and fair, so they claim, that 97% of all the wealth can be in the hands of one group and only 3% in the hands of another group. Please explain that to me, how that makes sense. If you say that it has nothing to do with slavery, you know that you're a liar. You can't for centuries force people to work and not compensate them. And then their direct descendants are supposed to, well, magically do something great. I don't know. This is a joke, and everyone knows it. And the reason critical race theory is such a hot button topic is because people don't want to talk about why it's even being brought up, which is the American experiment has never constituted and paid people that worked and built this country for free. They know this. You're like, well, why bring it up? If you go and work for someone and they don't pay you, aren't you going to continue to ask for your money? Or are you going to say, oh, well, I work for this person, but they don't really have to pay me? This is what you're asking the descendants of slavery to do in this country. Certain people are asking you not to collect on money that they owe. And you know the people that are doing that are conservatives. This would have been done a long, long time ago if we didn't listen to the John Birch Society, if we didn't listen to the moral majority, if we didn't listen to the white evangelical community, if we didn't listen to the Mormon community. This shit would have been taken care of a long time ago. And you probably would never have heard of 1619. Specifically, the individuals that had the most involvement in the horrors and atrocities that were committed against the African American community have been the individuals fighting the most to prevent reparations from happening in this country. I just want everyone, the listeners and audience, to know that the people who have been fighting tooth and nail against reparations payments have been the white evangelical community, the Mormon community, the conservative movement in America. Those have been the only bastards standing in the way of America righting its wrong in this nation. H.R. 40 has been brought up in the House for decades, and the Republican Party has been blocking it for decades. And they really don't have a reason why they're blocking it. They really can't tell the American people why this is happening. I've never heard an explanation as to why H.R. 40 doesn't get passed. I've never heard a legitimate argument from the conservatives why it doesn't get done. So what they do is, well, they play around the edges. They say critical race theory is a divisionist theory. It's causing rampant harm in the society. You don't think that it's divisive to force an individual or groups of people to work for you and not compensate them? That has nothing to do with division or discomfort. This is what the land-owning Anglo-Saxon white males have been doing in this country forever. That's why they set up the John Birch Society. That's why they set up the whole moral majority. So they can obfuscate themselves from their known responsibility. Now, it's not like the government hasn't tried at certain points in time. Now, they haven't really given a valiant try. But Abraham Lincoln, let's go back to 1865. Reconstruction. Lincoln and General Sherman wanted this to happen. But you know what happened? Compromise. The dreaded word compromise. The South was like, no. We have to be compensated first. We've lost all of our money. And Lincoln was like, yes, you should be compensated because you have lost something. But the newly freed American citizens, they should be compensated too. So when people say that Lincoln granted reparations to slaveholders, this is true. But Lincoln really believed that both parties would be set right in this country. And that never happened. Because like the scoundrels and bastards that the conservatives are, they say that they're going to do something. And then once something is done for them, they scurry along and say, we never said that it was going to be done. They're liars. That's why it had nothing to do with them or anything that they call a church. They're fucking liars. Now, here's the thing. A lot of this falls squarely on people of color, specifically the African American community. I'm sorry to break this news to you, but if you let a group or an individual punk you, they're going to keep punking you until you decide to stand up for yourself and no longer be punked by them. So in my estimation, critical race theory shouldn't even be a topic. Because on both sides, people have neglected and shirked their duty. As citizens, we've shirked our duty to demand that the government be better for all its citizens. We've all shirked our duties. So people who want to criticize and say that 1619 is divisive, it's divisive also to not compensate the individuals who built the country for free. So when other Americans don't want to even broach on the subject of reparations, you know something is wrong there. You know something is deeply wrong there. And what's wrong there in essence is really racism. It's people's latent racist beliefs and bias that say, oh, you know, if we give those people money, we don't know what they might do with it. Well, let's just leave it at, it's not yours to determine what individuals who are owed money, their money, what they would do with their money. It's your responsibility as a government, as citizens who benefited directly from slave wages, to compensate the individuals properly and fairly. That's why I don't really get caught up in the 1619 critical race theory bullshit. Because it's more American propaganda and bullshit. They've been doing this for centuries, passing the buck and kicking the can down the road. Everyone knows, everyone, that reparations has to be done. Everyone knows this. But very few people are reticent to stand up and say it and actually get it done. All February, we said it's got to be done. And we went to every or a lot of cities and said this. The response has been overwhelming. Citizens all across this country have said, why has this not been done? Who's holding it up? Who's blocking it? Who's being the obstructionist to all of American success? And now I'm here to tell you, it's clearly the white evangelical community, the Mormon church. Those are the bastards who are holding this up. So if you really want to pressure individuals in this country, you got to pressure those bastards, because those are the individuals who've elected senators and Congress members to block it so it doesn't get out of committee. You got to throw those individuals out of the House and out of the Senate in 2022. A lot of them are up for re-election. That's why voting is important. That's why voting matters. You go and you look at some of these Republicans in Congress, and you see how they voted on issues dealing with race in America. And you can clearly tell that they're racist, that they don't believe in a United States of America. They believe in certain individuals conserving their wealth. You know, they say conservative, like conservative is not something that's detrimental to the society. What are you conserving in America? You're conserving wealth. But where does the wealth come from? It comes off of the backs of exploitation of people of color in this country. That's what they're conserving, their ill-gotten gains. And now, when we come along as socialists and say, wait a minute, there needs to be some redistribution here. You can't have 97% and give millions of people 3%. You can't do this. Then they want to label you as a Marxist, as a communist. All of this bullshit to avoid the issue at hand, which is racism in America and how prevalent it still is. You wouldn't be hearing about critical race theory. Not at all if reparations had happened in this country. I just want the citizenry to know this, because nobody says this. Nobody says this, but it's true. You wouldn't hear any of this shit if people felt that they had been treated right and been made whole for the original sin. Everybody admits slavery is the original sin of this experiment, which is also not true. Genociding 55 million indigenous people was the original sin. The sin on top of that was slavery. If everyone can agree that slavery was such an atrocious and horrible thing to do, except for the white evangelical and Mormon church, who still think it's good and want to go back. But everyone else besides those bastards, if everyone else can agree to that, then why can't we agree that certain people need to be compensated for a crime against humanity? Everyone else has been. The Nazis. There were trials. There was compensation. The nation state didn't come easy. Zionists literally had to bomb British military establishments in order to get the creation of Israel. So there was violence to create Israel. But when it came to trials and compensation, that happened relatively smoothly and easily. The internment of the Japanese, that was taken care of. The government So why is it that something that lasts for centuries in this country, and there hasn't been one red hot dime given to the descendants of slavery? As long as America wants to continue playing this racist game, your country is going to continue to decline. You're always going to be under this curse, America, until you do right by all your citizens. I don't know how to stress that enough. It has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with the universal laws of nature. You cannot mistreat millions of human beings and then think that your circumstance are going to be well and you'll have a nice life. It doesn't work like that. There's a natural law to the universe. It's called karma. And Americans, you're going to start getting it in heaping helping doses. We said that this has to be done by Christmas. And we said if it's not done by Christmas, we're going to announce something that the empire, that this country is not going to like. And when we say something, we mean it. It's official. If it's not done by December 26th of 2022, we're going to announce something this empire is not going to like. And it's going to be wildly popular with the people who've been marginalized, abused, and mistreated for so long during this experience. So you have two options. You do it or you don't. Either way, the situation is finally going to be taken care of. It should have been taken care of a long time ago. But I've been dealing with this bastard-ass church and the bastard parishioners and pastors and leadership. And when I say bastards, I mean it. These people are scoundrels. The wretched of this whole entire planet. They're scum of the earth. And we've had to deal with them. And we're done talking. We're done negotiating. Talk season is over. It's action. If you cannot get it done, we're going to get it done for you. I suggest you get it done because the way I get things done are not going to be the way you like them to be done. You know, some people like scrambled eggs instead of fried eggs. Your preference, not mine. I want this to be you, a victory for you, not me. We'll see.